What's up, Eagles Nation? Happy Tuesday morning to y'all. This is Steve Hyder, Gate City Sports Channel, and this is the channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. All right, today's subject. Look, I want to clear some things up because I feel something is looming. I'm not saying it's going to happen this week. It should happen this week, but I'm not going to say that it will. I think we have until the 29th to make that decision, and I'm going to be honest with you, judging from the lack of movement we've seen so far and some of these contracts I've looked over for available players, we might be waiting all the way out to that period because some of these players that we think are available, the contract situations don't make sense. With that said, here's what I want to say. I think that releasing Zach Brown was multifaceted in the sense that it sent a message. It released some frustration the Eagles organization probably had with Zach Brown trash talking Kirk Cousins and then having him go off on our secondary. But I also think it might signify that we needed the roster space for something. Now, here's what I'll say. There's a caveat to this, and that caveat is this. Look, the bottom line is we do have two players coming back from injured reserve with designation to return, and we have Jalen Mills, okay? We released a corner, in my opinion, to make room for Jalen Mills returning from the pup. Now, the reason I think that Zach Brown's move doesn't have anything to do with the IR designations is because they still had time for that. That's not until week 8. So you got time for that. It's after week 8, then you have to designate these players to return. Either that or they're out for the rest of the year. So that's what I'm thinking. All right, y'all, let's get to the topic.
We're here to talk about the game. About that.
That was a big part of it.
Any other questions besides about Kirk Cousins?
Okay, so the speculation is this. We need desperate help at wide receiver, corner, and possibly defensive end or defensive line in general. And what I would like to do today is just kind of talk about where are the opportunities at to gain players, okay? We all know there's certain teams that are pretty much out of contention like Pittsburgh and Arizona, right? Atlanta, Denver, right? Tennessee can probably be argued is pretty much falling back on itself at this point. Jacksonville could be argued as out of contention at this point. So, Miami, obviously. And then obviously, I don't think the Redskins would trade us anyone, even though they got players we could definitely use. Like, I would love to pick some of their defensive, their pass rushers from them, but they would never let that happen. With that said, we got to look at what the numbers and how this shit makes sense, guys. And I want to start off first with defensive backs, right? Cornerbacks in particular, because I think that's the area of the greatest need. And we all know Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey is going to cost you 13 to 15 million, blah, blah, blah. We've been all over the numbers. The numbers isn't the problem with Jalen Ramsey. We have the numbers to make it work. We have about, from what I can see looking over everything, we have roughly about $28 million of cap space right now. Okay. Now, the projections I saw that next year, everything copacetic as it is, we'll have about 40 million or so, 30 something to 40 some million. Okay. These things are hard to figure out, guys. I'm just going to let the numbers fall where they fall. All right. But this is what I will say. There are a few players that were originally even on my wish list that the numbers don't make sense for, not necessarily the Eagles. The Eagles could afford some of these players, but the team values don't make sense. And I'm going to give you one. Tremaine Johnson of the Jets. I suggested that one not long ago. But then I really took a look at the numbers. This guy is under contract for quite some time, and he's making $12 million this season, and his contract jumps up to like $17-18 million a year. My opinion, that's a little too much for a cornerback. To make matters worse, in terms of being able to secure him from the Jets, the guy has a dead cap hit of $24 million. I don't think the Jets can make that move. I think that they're handcuffed with him for another year or two until that dead cap number kind of comes way down. Another guy where the dead cap money is just going to completely prevent us from trading for him. So for this particular season, having someone like Xavier Howard at 10 million, like 10.3 million, that would be wonderful. The problem is his dead cap figure is $27 million. There's a reason why I believe Miami hasn't dealt Xavier Howard at this point. Props to his agent, or maybe Xavier Howard hating his agent at this point, but his agent protected his contract. Another player where the money really, really doesn't make sense to me and I would love to have this player, but it's not going to add up, is Desmond Trufant from the Atlanta Falcons. Desmond Trufant is 13.9 mil. Any elite corner is going to cost you 10 mil plus. Okay, we all know that. There's only one corner on this list I would consider to be elite that's not costing us that figure this season, and he is under contract to 2022, and he's got a $24 million dead cap hit. I can't see Atlanta trading him out. I don't think that that's going to fit for the cornerback situation, guys. Now, some of the players looking over the list of what I have that do make sense. I'm going to just list them out, then I'll give you their statuses. Okay, Artie Burns from Pittsburgh, William Jackson III from Cincinnati, Patrick Peterson from the Cardinals. Watch that one. The Cardinals say they don't want to trade him, but I'm calling bullshit on that. Isaiah Oliver from Atlanta, if we wanted to go with a younger option. And Chris Harris Jr., definitely the number makes sense there to trade him. The Denver Broncos are going to want to move him. There's no doubt about it in my mind. Here's the situation, guys. Artie Burns, young guy, 24, right? This is more of a projection than it is with an established body we'll be projecting here. But he's only going to cost you about $3 million, and his dead cap's only 1.293. So if Pittsburgh's ready to move on from Artie Burns, like, I don't think that's going to cost you that much to go get him. Like, maybe a third or fourth rounder, maybe. I mean, I don't think it's going to cost you that much. Maybe I'm undervaluing Artie Burns, but I would at least make the phone call and just see where the value is on a kid like that. William Jackson III, I would love to get, and I think Cincinnati is a big trading partner. I think they got a couple pieces we can go at. All right, William Jackson III, surprisingly, he's only making $3 million, guys. Now, his dead cap is $2.094 million, but this dude is 27. He's an established guy in the league. He can play. Like, I'll be on the phone heavy for William Jackson III. Like, go get him. If Jalen Ramsey, which appears to me it's not going to happen, go get a player like this. He's available. Go make the move. The other guys I was talking about, Patrick Peterson, 8 mil, dead cap's only 1.5 mil. Look, his contract is going to jump up into the 13 mil range, 14 mil range over the course of his contract. I think it's 13 mil next year, and he is under contract for next year. But with that said, like, it's Patrick Peterson. I'll pay him 13 mil. Like, the value's there. Like, definitely. Like, Patrick Peterson would probably be my primary target if Jalen Ramsey's not available. And then I would probably fall back on William Jackson III if I could make that happen, to be honest. Isaiah Oliver is a young guy out of Atlanta. He's like a 23, 24-year-old. He's a former second-round pick. He's not making much of anything. He's going to cost you about $1 million. Like, he's not going to hinder you from going and getting an elite pass rusher, is what I'm saying. I don't even think Patrick Peterson would hinder us from going and getting an elite pass rusher, to be honest. Even a wide receiver could easily fit in the mix here with some of these players in the contract. Chris Harris Jr. is probably the most expensive rational like resource we could get at corner. He's going to cost us 11.9, so basically $12 million for the season. He's only under contract for this season. He'd be a one-year rental. He's 30-ish, 29, 30, 31-ish. He's in that general age range. His dead cap figure is only $2 million. Denver, I'm pretty sure, would love to move that contract because the dead cap is nothing. They're saving a shit ton of money by moving them. That would be my corners, guys. I'm going to say Patrick Peterson would be primary target number 1. William Jackson III would be primary target number 2. Chris Harris Jr. would be my third option. Then if I couldn't make any of those deals happen, I would look to an Artie Burns. I would look to an Isaiah Oliver. Like, we got to get somebody. Like, we are throwing out trash, and we need desperate help in the secondary. And I'm sorry, all these guys are upgrades. They're upgrades. Wide receivers. The wide receiver pool is pretty damn expensive, to be quite honest. And I'm here to tell you right now, some of the things we heard about them not wanting to move receivers, bullshit. I'm sorry, A.J. Green is going to probably be moved. In my opinion, Cincinnati would be ridiculous not to move him. I mean, you have to be downright damn stupid not to move A.J. Green on a team that's this bad and needs to rebuild this badly. You got to move a contract like this. This dude is making $15.176 million, and his contract keeps going up. He's still under contract for quite a couple of years here. His dead cap figure is only $3.2 million. That's a dude you move. I don't buy the bullshit there. Other guys where it's a no duh, you want to move them. Emmanuel Sanders is $12.9 million. Okay, His dead cap's only 4.187 million. You move a guy that's 32 years old with those kind of numbers. He's only under contract, I think, for this year. The only year he's under contract. AJ Green is 31, even though he's got a couple years left on that contract, I think. Go check it, but I'm pretty sure he's got a couple years left on that contract, and his contract, from what I remember, goes way up from that 15 million. Guys that I think there's another guy that I would love to get, but the money doesn't make sense. Mohamed Sanu would be a great like swap with Atlanta. Like, hey, we'll send you Nelson, give us Mohamed Sanu. The problem with Mohamed Sanu is he's at $7.65 million, which for the Eagles is not a huge deal. But for the Atlanta, you still are taking a slight loss there because his dead cap's 8.8 mil. The way they structured his contract is like next year would be the ideal year for Atlanta to try to move a guy like Mohamed Sanu. Same issue that they had with a guy like Desmond Trufant. Like he's 1 year away from that cap figure making sense to move him. Sanu would be 7.9 million against the cap next year with only 1.4 million in dead cap. So like he's a year. You get what I'm saying? Like I don't know that one would make the most sense there, guys. Nelson is really frustrating for the Eagles guys because Howie didn't do a good job on his contract, guys. It's $9.387 fucking million, and the dead cap hit on this is $9.387 million. So no matter what we do, we're forced to eat that 9.3. Like there's no way around it. We have to eat that 9.3 no matter what we do. Trade him, cut him, whatever we do. And to me, I'm not cutting him just because I think he still has trade value. You're not going to get a day 1 or day 2 pick for him, but I definitely think you'll get a day 3 pick for a guy like Nelson Aguilar. He's still a decent receiver. This kid has elite speed. He can't track the deep ball. We know that for a fucking 100% fact. But there are teams out there that would value him as a wide receiver. The guys I think make sense from a contract standpoint. I'm going to give you 2 guys that I would go after heavily if I was the Eagles. My number 1 option here is Robbie Anderson. And I don't know if the Jets are going to want to move on from this kid. He's not under contract after this year. That's the only thing I could say positive. I think Howie Roseman could call up Joe Douglas and be like, look, I'm not too sure this kid's going to want to play for y'all because you guys are quite a few years away from competing. With that said, man, Sam Darnold really changes the outlook of stuff because Sam Darnold is in my opinion, from a skill set standpoint, he's in that ability range of a Carson Wentz, of a Patrick Mahomes, of Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson. Like he's got that elite type ability. Whether he lives up to it, who knows? But he's definitely there in terms of the skill set. I would love to get Robbie Anderson. I would try hard as hell to get that contract because it's only 3.095 mil, and there's no dead cap on him at all. So he ain't costing us shit. You could probably go get a corner, add a guy like Robbie Anderson, which is a damn sure good height and speed combination for the Eagles, and probably still go get an elite pass rusher. I would definitely look into that. The other guy is Devontae Parker. I know he's not the most exciting guy, but once again, he's got decent speed. He's like a 4.45 guy. He's got good height. Contract's only 4.8 mil. Dead cap's 4.5, so they are kind of guaranteeing his contract basically this year, but that dead cap figure is only 4.5 mil. It's not a huge deal. So I still think that they could possibly move him. The Dolphins could. So he'd be a guy I'd be like number 2 guy I could see going. After that, then you attack a guy like Emmanuel Sanders. AJ Green, I just think is too similar to what we already got. I think he's Alshon Jeffrey. Like you have to be pretty desperate to go. Like if Deshaun Jackson just can't go and it just looks like he's done for the season, then sure, maybe you go for a $15 million contract with a guy. But my problem with AJ Green is that contract isn't just this year. So my opinion, then you go for an Emmanuel Sanders. I would go for Robbie Anderson first, Devontae Parker second, then Emmanuel Sanders third. If everything falls to shit, then you go after AJ Green. All right, pass rushers, guys. I looked over the contracts for pass rushers, and there are a few here that really make no sense at all for us to go after. Well, I'll say there's one in here that doesn't make any sense for us to go after. That's Von Miller. I think we're just wasting our time with Von Miller. Guys, I love Von Miller, but this dude is $25 million against the cap. No fucking way. No way. I love Von Miller. He's a great player. That's more than what we're paying. That's more than what we're paying Fletcher Cox, even next year when Fletcher Cox is, I'm going to say, it's like 23, 24 million. We don't have the cap for that. That would eat up all of our available cap. Not to mention for Denver, that's a 28.975 dead cap hit. There's no fucking way they're making that move. I would love to have Von Miller, but if Denver makes that move, dumbass alert. It just doesn't make any sense. The numbers, Jesus Christ, they don't make sense. You're tied to the hip with this guy for another year till that fucking number falls. There is another guy on Denver that we could go after. Okay, we could go after Derek Wolfe. All right, Derek Wolfe is about 10.925 million, but his dead cap's only 2.875 million, and he's only on a 1-year deal. So there's going to be a lot of motivation for Denver to try to move a guy like this. He's a vet. I think he's a decent player. I think he helps the Eagles out. I could see that move happening. That would make sense to me. My dream wish, there are two guys on here that I'll say are my dream wish. My number one dream wish will be Calais Campbell. 14.5 million. You expect Calais Campbell's he's good. He still has he's under contract 2020 as well. You'd have to pay him 17.5 million next year, but still worth it to me. And Calais Campbell is only a $5 million like actual dead cap hit for Jacksonville. Like if I'm Jacksonville, I probably would try to move Calais Campbell. And here's the thing about Calais Campbell, guys, in Jacksonville in general, they got two other pass rushers there. They have Campbell, they have Yannick Ngakoue. I don't know how to say his name, guys. And then Josh Allen. I would love to have Josh Allen. I mean, if Jacksonville wants to let a young prospect go for maybe a first rounder, I'll take Josh Allen off your fucking hands all day. If not, give me Calais Campbell. I'll take him. Cincinnati's also a place where we could definitely go get pass rushers, guys. Carlos Dunlap, 30-year-old vet. Look, he's under contract, I think this year. And I want to say he's under contract next year as well. I don't know to be exact, guys, but I think he is. He's 10.35 million against the cap, guys. We can afford that. We can afford that contract. The kind of the rub though with him is that Cincinnati would have to eat 11.25 million to deal him. So they have to eat an additional $1 million just to deal him, but they're in a rebuilding phase. So if I'm them, if you can get picks from the Eagles for a guy like Carlos Dunlap, I would move him. If I'm them, that cap figure number that he's holding again, I would move him. I personally would move him. The other guys from Cincinnati, I would love to maybe kind of take a crack at and just see if they would be willing to move him, is the kid out of Ohio State, Sam Hubbard. He's not even costing them $1 million, and his dead cap is insignificant. It's basically nothing. So Sam Hubbard, young guy, you know, if you can't find anyone else and you're just kind of like, bring him in and just let's give him a shot, man. I think he could be an upgrade over as a third or fourth end. I think he's an upgrade over what we have currently. I would take him probably over Josh Sweat, to be honest. Let's go to Atlanta because I think Atlanta has some interesting situation going on there. Look, again with just like I said about Josh Allen, if Atlanta, really wants to tank itself and wants to trade away Tank McKinley, we'll take him. A 23-year-old pass rusher. Look, he's only costing you about $3 million, 2.786 million. Now Atlanta have to eat a little dead cap on him. He's about 4.187 million on the dead cap, but that's not too severe. I just think they're not going to trade you Tank McKinley, but fuck, I'd call about it. However, what about the vet Adrian Claiborne? That I think they might trade. Look, Claiborne's going to cost $1.96 million. That's what his cap hit is. His dead cap is only 1.68. That's a guy I could see them dealing out. Alan Bailey's also in Atlanta, and I would take Alan Bailey. I think Alan Bailey would be a good veteran pass rusher to bring in for a season. $4.5 million is what he would cost you on the cap. $5.75 million. I had to eat just a little bit of money on him. Not a huge amount, though. So, looking at the available pass rushers here, guys, I honestly, I would go, this is my order. I would go, Calais Campbell would be my first option if I could get him. Carlos Dunlap would be my second option if I could get him. Derek Wolfe would be my third option if I could get him. Past that, I would go Adrian Claiborne. Alan Bailey would be my fifth option if I couldn't get that. And if I can't get those guys, then I'm going to dig in and try to get a guy like Sam Hubbard from Cincinnati. You guys get what I'm saying? Like, I would go somewhere in that direction. Look, if they'll trade you Tank McKinley, of course you make it. But just like Von Miller, I think the contract's out of reach for the Eagles. I don't think Atlanta's stupid enough to deal you Tank McKinley. I don't think Jacksonville's dumb enough to deal as Josh Allen. But I would definitely make those calls, guys. All right, what do y'all think, man? Laying out these numbers, this is what I'm thinking. if we pick the right players and we do a deal with a team like Cincinnati, and we pluck, a Carlos Dunlap or a Sam Hubbard from them, right? And then you tack on, in addition to taking a player like that, you go after William Jackson III. So you could bundle a pass rusher and a corner from them. Okay. And now you reach out to a team like, in my opinion, now you reach out to a team like the Jets and you try to cut a deal for Robbie Anderson. Maybe you go to the Dolphins, you try to cut a deal for Devontae Parker. You know what I mean? Maybe then you say, well, fuck, we can't get anything, so we'll just pay the $12.9 million at $13 million, and we pick up Emmanuel Sanders because we'll have the money there. That's the way I would approach it, guys. I mean, we'll see how it works out. I mean, the other side of it is you could pay the elite money. You can go get a Calais Campbell, a Derek Wolfe, a Carlos Dunlap. You can go get those type of players that are going to cost you some serious money. But we got space there. I mean, I think the deals are there to be cut. They're there to be done. And I think we have to address these positions. I know what my wish list is. Me personally, I want Patrick Peterson. Okay. I would love to get Calais Campbell. All right. I would love to get Robbie Anderson. Those would be my primary guys I would be trying to go after. Reality is reality, guys. I'm not too sure you could get that. I mean, there are a lot of secondary options. William Jackson III isn't a bad option there. Devontae Parker would work out. Emmanuel Sanders would work fine. It's better than what we're throwing out there right now for the receiver groups. And there's a ton of pass rushers we could possibly go sneak. I mean, I'm okay with Derek Wolfe. I think he improves us. I think Sam Hubbard improves us. I think Alan Bailey improves us. Adrian Claiborne improves us. Like, there are a lot of options to improve us. The problem is that when you really get down to a Super Bowl push, just because you have improvement doesn't mean you're improved enough for that Super Bowl push. I think we're going to need elite talent for a Super Bowl push. That's why I'm saying we're going to need people like Robbie Anderson. We're going to need people like Patrick Peterson, a Calais Campbell. Those kind of people can push you into the Super Bowl. That's my take on it. What you guys take? Who would you like off of this list? Guys, I know Von Miller. I know some of y'all love him. Contract doesn't make sense, guys. I would love to have him too, but we can't afford that. It's way too much. All right, y'all. Tell me what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Y'all know what time it is. EAGLES. Hey, guys, I'm going to start turning, the wheels and turning the gears towards Dallas Cowboys content. That's coming. All right. Rivalry week. We're getting there.